How's it going, everybody? I want to cover off a video on the Awesome Oscillator today. I recorded this video the other day and I looked down, and after 15 minutes of recording I realised that my headset wasn't plugged in. It was about 3 AM at the time, so I just put it down to having baby brain at the moment and stopped. So I'll cover off that video today and cover off some of the points about the Awesome Oscillator. I'm going to cover each indicator independently, and I'm just going to do it in one take and just talk my way through it. So let's dive straight into what the Awesome Oscillator is and how we use it in Renko. So first of all, the Awesome Oscillator is a measurement of momentum. Okay, it is a... Think about it in terms of the strength of the trend, the strength of the price action. There are two sides to the Awesome Oscillator. Okay, we've got the bullish side, which is obviously above the zero line, and we've got the bearish side, which is below the zero line. What we look for is we look for peaks and troughs in the Awesome Oscillator. The Awesome Oscillator gives us a lot of information about what price is doing without even needing to look at price itself. So for example, if we look at this area here, okay, we can see that there is a strong bullish movement up. Okay, and obviously that's represented on Renko here. Just for clarity as well, I should tell you that this is traditional 10 settings for Renko. And so this is the Awesome Oscillator that relates to that. So we can see here, strong bullish move up. Okay, nice big peak produced, and then we tail off here. The way to view the colours on the Awesome Oscillator is that, obviously in this instance, green represents bullish movement and red represents bearish movement. Now you can see obviously that there's red on the bullish side of the AO. So the way to think about that is that the green shows when bulls are in control and the red shows when the bears start to take over. Okay. So we see here, nice move up, bulls in control, and the bears start to take over. We have a little bit of consolidation, and the bulls take back over again. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking at here. We want peaks and troughs, so I covered off this peak here, and then what we see down this region here is a period of ranging. So when the Awesome Oscillator is just chopping side to side, like we see here, okay, small movement, back under, small movement, back over, small movement, back under. Right, this is just a range. It's just a chop. So we're not too interested in regions like this. What we really want to see are these big peaks, because the big peaks give us something to trade from and give us the most information that we can get from the Awesome Oscillator. So there are a couple of ways to use the Awesome Oscillator. The first way, and what you'll see primarily that I use it for, especially when scalping, is for divergences. So we see a really nice divergence here on Bitcoin. We have a higher high, two clear peaks on Renko, and we have a lower high on the Awesome Oscillator just down here. So here we've got a bearish divergence. Now, one of the things that I'll cover off is when is the divergence confirmed. So we have a phrase when we look at the Awesome Oscillator, and that is a 2-bar reversal. What that indicates is when 2 bars of the opposite colour print on the Awesome Oscillator, it usually confirms the presence of the opposite force. So in this instance here, we have the move up. Okay, we have the second peak that creates the divergence, and that divergence is locked in here. 2110 on the second bar of the bearish print. Okay, green, 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 lower high. First sign the bears are present, second time the bears are present, that locks in the divergence. So we would take a trade at this point here. Okay, 2110. That would be our short position here. So then what we do is, in order to play out a divergence, obviously we need a take profit point. And we have to remember that this, for example, is on a lower time frame, So therefore, what I'm looking for as a result of this is a very short trade. I'm not looking for something that's going to last me for the next week. So what we typically look for is we look for the opposite signal to this. So you look for 2 bars here of the bullish colour on the bearish side of the Awesome Oscillator. I hope that makes sense. So the bearish side, because we're in a short position, so we want to see the bears take over, which they do. But as soon as we see the bulls come back in, we're pretty much interested in leaving this position. Okay, so we'd exit here. Alright. So we're talking about a $100 move here that we would capitalize on relatively easily. We do have a couple of things that we can use to advance this position though. So depending on the setup that we're utilizing, okay, this is a really nice divergence. Super clean divergence, 2 clear peaks, huge difference here compared to here. Okay, so what we could also do is we could look to just play this, okay, until we get back to the bullish side. We don't need to rush out of position. So what we can also use the Awesome Oscillator to do, and the second function of the Awesome Oscillator, is for trend identification. So we can see once we cross to the bearish side and we're in a short position, there's a pretty good argument for not leaving this position until we cross back over to the bullish side. We could have something like this, and again that's kind of represented here, right? We get the first crossover down, we come back, we retest at 0, and we fall away again. And we get the same here, just in a far less of a retest fashion. So one of the things that we need to do is, when we're considering scalps, we can either take the textbook play, the systematic play of 2-bar reversal, enter our position, 2-bar reversal, close our position. And that's the systematic play. That locks in the profit there and then, done. Or we can assess what's happening in this range, okay? Spend a bit of time while we're scalping to think about, okay, are we trapped beneath any resistances now? Have we bounced off any supports? How comfortable do I feel staying in a short position here? Can I move a stop down? For example, can we bring that stop down now to these highs here? Okay. And then potentially we can stay in position. So the second function of the Awesome Oscillator is in trend identification. And this is an area that I got caught on this week. There was a strong move up in Bitcoin, and I was shorting a divergence. And actually, what the Awesome Oscillator was telling me was that this was actually a really strong trend move, and I was in an awkward position trying to counter that. And it's actually here during this run up. So we can see if I just hide these arrows, because I don't want that to add any confusion. Okay, so we see this on the Awesome Oscillator here. What we get is strong movement in price up. Okay, you get a strong movement in the Awesome Oscillator. And what we actually see is we see a continued rise in strength as we make this high and up here into this range. So here, the whole time, the trend, the Awesome Oscillator is telling you bulls are strong. And not only are bulls strong, but they're not giving up. Alright, the momentum isn't falling away from bulls. The divergence that I had was printed not on TradingView. If I would have checked in here, I would have seen this strength, okay, instead of the quicker signals that I was getting that were incorrect in this instance. But what I wanted to show you was that this is identification of trend strength. So it also shows when we can act on joining a trend versus trying to counter it. Okay, there's a time and a place for countering the trend. That is on divergences. Okay, we're naturally always going to be countering the trend on a divergence. Okay, unless we're talking about a macro or higher time frame level. But aside from that, when you look at these periods of time, we want to think about how we can join this, right? So any pullbacks that we get, we can move in on this. So two things that the Awesome Oscillator is used for. Number one is divergences. It shows when we may be at a local top or bottom, and it does a very good job of that. Like the region up here at 10.8, okay? Really nice divergence, really nice sell-off that we could have capitalized on for at least a $300 move. Alright? That's a really nice play out of a divergence. The other thing it does is it shows us the strength of the trend. So when we see this move up from 9.6 all the way up here to 10.4, okay, there was no reason to doubt the strength of that trend. And so actually what it's doing is it's giving us a very clear picture along with the Renko price action of how strong the underlying trend is, how strong the bulls are versus the bears. There are a couple of patterns to be aware of in the Awesome Oscillator, and I want to cover that off in a separate video. I just wanted to give a very quick rundown of the way the Awesome Oscillator is utilized currently. The other thing that I should just probably mention, I've covered off peaks and troughs, okay? Use the Awesome Oscillator to give you an idea about when you want to trade. So I can give you a very clear picture here of when I want to trade. I want to trade these, okay? I want to trade these. I want to trade this, this, this. I want to trade this, okay? I don't want to trade these. Don't want to trade this. This is way too choppy. This indicates to me we're in a range. What the Awesome Oscillator does incredibly well is shows you when a trend is developing, or it shows you when there's a local top or bottom. So when there's a range, the information I'm getting from the Awesome Oscillator is trash. Okay, just like any other indicator that you would use, it is not going to give you accurate information. The same way that divergence is on a very tight range, right? So you've got a range that goes like this, okay? And then you've got your RSI, which is, let's say you use an RSI, and you've got your RSI that's going along like this, same thing, okay? And then you spot there's a divergence here compared to here, right? Like all indicators, oscillators, etc. work best when there are peaks and troughs. Okay, RSI works best when there are defined points on sell-offs or pumps, okay? That's where it works best. It's exactly the same with the Awesome Oscillator. So instead of trying to actively trade these regions, appreciate what Awesome Oscillator is telling you, and that it is a choppy range, so it's best to be avoided. Wait till you get a big move up, then really switch on. Put on your trading hat at that point and look for setups. But don't get lulled in by ranges like this, okay? We don't need to play breakouts. We don't need to flip a coin on a 50-50 and decide which way a range is going to break out. The strength in this approach lies in the fact that we get our information after the move has taken place, and we still make money from it. Alright, so that's everything for now. Any questions? Please just shout me in the group if there's anything that I haven't covered, or if anything didn't make sense in this video, considering it is 7 AM. I've been up since 4:30, and I hope that I've given a decent overview to the Awesome Oscillator. So thank you very much, guys. I'll be back in the next 24 hours or so with another video.